All right, who's ready to talk about crystals? So crystals are one of my favorite tools to work with. Not just because they're super pretty to look at, but just also because of the properties that they carry. So this is just like a little mini crash course. We're just pretty much going to be going over some of your most common crystals that you might be used to hearing about. And we're just going to kind of go touch base a little bit on those as far as what they can be used for, how to spot their authenticity. There's a lot of fake crystals out there, so I am going to kind of go over a little bit on how you can figure out whether or not your crystals are real or fake. We're going to be talking a little bit about how to cleanse and charge your crystals and the most useful way of doing that based on the element that your crystal represents. And then we'll touch just a little bit on how to use them with your chakras. So first I'm going to go over your crystals that are the best to be used for physical healing, and also the most common ones that you've probably heard of. There's a lot of crystals that can be used for physical healing. I'm just going to kind of go over the ones that are the most common that you've probably heard of. I'm going to grab this window quick because I have sunshine coming and shining right into my eye right now. Okay, so first, jasper. Okay, jasper is used to address digestive issues. It brings relief to abdominal pain and indigestion, and it can help heal bladder issues. Garnet. I'm a January baby, so garnet is my birthstone. And garnet is known to detoxify the body. It does this because it promotes smooth circulation throughout the blood, targeting the body's metabolism. Garnet enhances mineral and vitamin absorption from healthy foods. It helps the body to flow steadily while encouraging proper clotting when the body needs it and avoiding overclotting that can lead to life-threatening situations. Pretty useful if you ask me. Carnelian. This is another one that is one of my favorites. If you're not sure, this is carnelian right here. This is carnelian in its raw form. Most of these crystals I will be able to show you. Some of them I will not. I did not show you jasper. This here is a jasper. Jasper comes in a lot of varieties. There's a lot of different colorings, patterns, and all that with that. But that's just one form of it. So carnelian, an important stone for women's health. It promotes fertility and aids in menstrual health. In tune with the sacral chakra, carnelian resonates with our body's life force energy. This can fuel passion for both men and women and increase physical vitality. Carnelian also works on the liver to help filter toxins from the body. It can also relieve the pain and stiffness brought on by arthritis and inflammation. So another pretty useful crystal. Amethyst. Amethyst has always been one of my favorites. I think partially because my favorite color is also purple, and amethyst is purple. So this is a large chunk of amethyst in its raw form. You probably cannot really see a lot of the purple in there. However, this is also amethyst here, which you can see a little bit more. Now this one here is called a branded or a chevron or dream amethyst. Here's another one here. You can see the purple in there. Okay, so amethyst has strong ties to the immune and sympathetic nervous system. Amethyst pulsates energy that can help alleviate headaches and often relief from migraines. It balances frequencies that affect the hormones, which can have a major impact on how we feel. Amethyst also targets many of the emotional influences that can damage our physical health, like stress, insomnia, and addiction. One thing I know for me is I have an amethyst next to my bed, and when I do get a headache, I like to literally just rub it on my forehead. Amethyst is a crystal that is very cold feeling, and it stays relatively cold. And so it's just a very nice cooling effect to do that when you do have a headache or a migraine. It feels really nice. I also have one. I make little baggies, little sleep sacks, I call them, that have a combination of different crystals in them to help promote sleep, because I do suffer from insomnia from time to time. And so amethyst is one of those that I have in there for that, and it has helped immensely with my sleep. So it's also a very, very popular stone. I'd say one of the most popular things that it is known for is helping with addiction and changing negative habits, kind of overcoming negative habits. And so, yeah, really awesome stone. Also, bloodstone. I do have a bloodstone, but it's a little one, and you're probably not really going to be able to see much from it. But bloodstone, it detoxifies and fortifies many of the body's systems, like the immune, circulatory, and reproductive systems. Working from the root chakra, it offers grounding, balance, and physical motivation to preserve through your healing journey. By clearing negative energy from in and around the body, bloodstone accelerates the healing process by giving the body invigorating vibrations to carry you through health crisis. So, pretty cool. Next one. This is also one of my favorite that I'm very, very partial to. Just very connected and drawn to this crystal particularly is hematite. And I do have one of those, but where do I have it is the question. Where do I have that right now? I might have used it at some point. Anyway, oh, I know. Hold on. Okay, so this is my smaller one that I have. I have a much larger one, which is in the house, but hematite is this nifty, cool, it almost looks metal, and it's actually very, very heavy. Very cool. I really like these ones a lot. Again, this is another one that I'm very drawn to. That is hematite. It is packed with iron. Hence why it's so heavy. And it's incredible. It's incredible for the circulatory system. Hematite's work on the blood helps bring regularity and menstrual flow and blood pressure to calm nerves and anxiety. Hematite brings us an important reminder through its connection to the root chakra. Pain is a part of our existence, but it doesn't have to define us or overtake us. The next one on here that is good for physical healing and is also one of the most common ones that you've probably heard the name of before is green jade. Green jade is a potent healing stone since the ancient times, working on the immune, reproductive, digestive, and endocrine systems. It has soothing energy that can reproduce joint pain as well. Through its effect on the kidney and the bladder, green jade can help detox harmful waste from the body while filtering important nutrients to carry into the blood. Green jade is a wonderful healing stone to use during the pain of childbirth. I wish I would have known that when I gave birth. It might have been extremely helpful, but I did not know that at the time. So crystals are something I've always liked. As a child, I had a rock collection, and I remember having some of these crystals actually in my rock collection. However, I did not know that they really carried any kind of useful health properties at all. So that's been a newer journey for me, and something that I have recently started learning about in probably the last maybe 2-3 years, really. So it's fairly new to me too. The last one that I'm going to talk about, you may or may not have heard this one. So it's kind of, some people, I hear a lot of people that have heard of it and a lot of people that haven't. But this is called shungite. This crystal fights bacteria and pain. It's reducing inflammation and addressing allergy symptoms. It helps combat the overabsorption of electromagnetic frequencies into the human body and promotes processes in the immune system that nurture natural healing. I feel like this is a very beneficial crystal for just about everybody to have right now, because of that electromagnetic part. We are so wrapped up into technology, and it is all over the place. And no matter what you do, even if you avoid it entirely voluntarily, it's still in our environment constantly. You have all of your like cell phone towers, all of that stuff going on all the time. And it really does affect our health a lot. There is there's more frequency of people that are experiencing heart palpitations. That is something that has been scientifically linked to these electromagnetic fields. And of course, they don't want to talk about that, because why do they want to talk about something that they're trying to increase that's actually jeopardizing your health? Anyway, so that, and also migraines, headaches, even like stomach issues and stuff, all of that is connected to these electromagnetic fields. So shungite is definitely a crystal that I feel like everybody should probably be like using or having close counters with, like all the time. Carry it with you or something. So next we're going to move on to crystals for emotional healing. These again are crystals that most likely you have seen once before. You've probably seen them, you've probably heard of them before. So we're going to get started with those here. Just had somebody commenting here on where to go for this. So, okay. So crystals for emotional healing. You have citrine. Citrine is an excellent go-to crystal. Pick up this yellow crystal to boost your confidence by focusing on the good things in your life. This cheerful crystal is also linked to the solar plexus chakra, which is most closely associated with confidence and optimism. Next is rose quartz. Rose quartz is a very popular crystal because of its beautiful pink appearance and because it is the stone of unconditional love. So self-love is definitely a plus, and rose quartz does help with that as well. Rose quartz, which is associated with your heart chakra, is not only a great all-around crystal, but also a great self-love booster. Rose quartz. So this here is rose quartz. This here is a rose quartz towel. I don't know if you can see the pink or not in there, but it does have pink to it. You might not be able to see it with the sun so much. It might be a little bit too bright to see. But that is rose quartz. It's a beautiful pink crystal. Sometimes it can be a little bit more on the whitish end. You might not see a lot of pink in it. So it does come in like variations as far as the vibrancy of that pink. Next is tiger's eye. Tiger's eye is another one of my favorites. And yes, I have a lot of favorites. Tiger's eye. My big tiger's eye is in my house right now, but this is a small tiger's eye worry stone. You have probably seen this before. Absolutely just a beautiful all-around crystal. So tiger's eye is known as the mind stone because it helps you to see clearly, specifically between your own bullshit and your self-doubt in order to boost your self-esteem. Tiger's eye is a lovely brown and gold color that instills focus and insight. Next, we have next is black tourmaline and black obsidian. So these two crystals are pretty cool as well. So this one here, this is tourmaline. Okay, now I'm going to show you the two. Now, the one thing I'm going to point out though is that this tower is polished. Tourmaline is not. They can be very hard to distinguish and separate. I almost don't even know how to explain it to you. It's just my eyes have kind of almost been trained to where now I can pick them out amongst each other, whether they're in raw form or in this polished form. But this would be black obsidian here. And this is your black tourmaline here. So those two stones, they are stones that protect you by warding off negative energies. Black tourmaline is a great crystal for your collection. It's an ideal all-rounder said to aid in grounding, which is essential to finding one's sense of self. It is difficult to build self-worth without a solid foundation. It also aids in fighting addiction. Black obsidian pretty much does the same type of stuff. So selenite. Okay. This is one I want to point out because I should have brought my other selenite out here and I did not. So I'm going to borrow this one here and then I'm going to borrow this one just to show you a couple varieties. Okay. So a lot of people, you've probably heard selenite. You may even have selenite. And in reality, you actually don't have selenite. You have satin spar. So I'm going to show you the difference between the two. So first, selenite can amplify the healing power that comes from other crystals. This is a super cool crystal because when we get into talking about the cleansing and the charging and stuff, selenite is one of those that actually cleanses and charges itself. So you do not need to do anything additional with it. It does not need charging or cleansing because it does this itself, and then it also cleanses and charges other crystals. Selenite can be a first responder crystal at warding off any negativity, including that from emotional distress. Okay, so most of you probably have something called selenite that looks like this. Okay. And then there's this. This is actually not selenite. This is actually satin spar. It is a very fragile, breakable crystal. It does do the same properties, but what you specifically really want to look for is this. This has, now if you can see, this is a little bit more clear. It's almost like a see-through glass. Okay, this is selenite. This that is a little more opaque, you can't really see through it as much. This is actually satin spar, and it's often mistaken or labeled as selenite. We will get into that in a little bit here. But I thought I would point that out to you first, just because there is so many people that believe that they have selenite and they don't. They actually have satin spar instead. Okay, and they're paying selenite prices for it, and that's the part that always makes me mad. Okay, so amethyst, again, as you can see, amethyst is an awesome crystal here. It's on your physical healing and also in your emotional healing. So amethyst aids in letting go of negative emotions. It's great with help for healing in times of loss or sadness. It relieves tension and stress, encouraging restful sleep. And it also increases success of changed behaviors, including addictions, like I had mentioned earlier. Okay, the next one, which I do not have that one out here. Well, I do. It's over there. But that's howlite. So howlite helps to keep you connected to the truth and in the present moment. It can stop you from jumping to conclusions and clear the internal chatter of your mind while also calming feelings of anger and agitation. I have a huge one of these, fairly large, in that I keep in my house. And the reason why it is in there is because I have 3 kids and a husband, and sometimes our house gets a little frustrating and agitated, and so it's in there to help kind of smooth things over. And I have noticed that since it's been in there, those kinds of situations seem to diffuse much quicker. We have done a lot of other work also with that, but I do like to point out that I have noticed a large change in that sort of thing. definitely compared to what it used to be. But like I said, we have kind of worked on things a little bit different steps to take and different ways of approaching things and stuff like that when disagreements and that kind of thing start to arise. So, but it is helpful with that. So Howlite is like, typically it's a white one and it kind of has black or gray little stripy design things in it. Next, we're going to talk about how these are some of the most common fake crystals that you're going to encounter. So if you go to buy a crystal under one of these names, you're going to want to really know how to check its authenticity because it's likely that it might be a fake. So the first one is Auralite 23. So this is a crystal that's newly discovered and it's gaining in popularity. It is so named because it is made up of a combination of 4 to 8 different minerals out of 23 different possibilities. So there's a lot of mixture going on in these Auralites 23s. It's often described as having 23 different minerals with a very hefty price tag. But the crystal never, ever, ever has 23 different minerals. So if something or somebody that you buy your crystals from tells you that it's made up of 23 different minerals, they are feeding you a line of bullshit. They are just trying to get your money. They are not selling you a legit product here because Auralite 23 will never ever be made up of 23 different minerals. It is made up of only 4 to 8 at a time, which is still super awesome. But just don't be fooled by false advertising and descriptions with a jacked up price and a claim of having any more than eight minerals because you're not going to get what you're paying for. Okay. Moldavite. This is a really cool, very, very powerful crystal. This is a crystal that some people can handle, some people cannot. It truly is one that it needs to resonate with you, but it's oftentimes a fake. So Moldavite is made up of projectile glass that is formed by meteorite impact. It's a form of tektite, which is right here. Okay, this is tektite here. This is just a simple one that I found, I think in my mom's yard, actually. Pretty cool. But so that is from a meteorite. Moldavite is also from a meteorite, and it is a form of that. However, it is a forest olive or a blue-green color, and it is pretty pricey. It is very, very common to be falsely sold. So typically what you're going to get is a chunk of man-made green glass that is labeled as Moldavite. So you really are going to want to pay attention when we get to the authenticity part on being able to identify how to tell Moldavite from real from fake. Citrine is another one that is oftentimes a fake. It is a form of quartz. Quartz. Okay, but real citrine is heated in the earth over long periods of time, making a smoky yellowish green color. So I don't have one out here either. Have them in my house, but your real citrine is not going to have this bright yellow tip. Okay. What you'll see most often that it's passed off by as being citrine is actually it's going to be a quartz, and you're going to see this yellow tip, and it's bright. It's like a bright amber color. That's not real citrine. That's a fake. So I pass off a lot as that. Real's fairly rare. It carries a high price tag to reflect this. Lab-made citrine is what you're usually going to find, and that doesn't mean it doesn't have any healing properties at all. It still does, even if it is man-made. It's if you're going for the natural, or you want that, the purity of it, you're not going to get that. Not if you're paying something that is relatively affordable, because you're going to pay quite a bit for real citrine because it is extremely hard to find. Okay. This is typically, okay, so your lab treated citrine is typically, it's typically amethyst that is heated with high temps in a lab, which creates a brighter yellow or orange color and a white quartz looking base. Fake citrine is very easy to find and relatively cheap in price. So if you find citrine and say you find, let's say, if I have anything that's even remotely in size. Okay, so say you got something like this here, whatever, about this size, roughly like a citrine point or something. It's going to look clear, and it's going to be like that, like a bright yellowish amber on the tips of it, possibly halfway down even. And if you find something like that and you pay, say, like $7 for that, $7, $8, something like that for this size, you don't have real citrine. You have lab treated amethyst. Okay, so just to give you an idea of price wise. So the next one, agate. Okay, agate is not necessarily fake, but agates are oftentimes dyed to be more vibrant in color. Natural agate will range in earthy colors, such as variations of earthy reds, browns, greens, yellows, whites, or creams. Dyed agate is what you're going to come across that has like the circular bands in it, and it's like bright, it's like fuchsia, or it's like bright purple, or it's turquoise, or pretty much any color imaginable. And your bands are going to be perfectly symmetrical. Okay, that is dyed agate, and it's dyed specifically to look like that. So it's dyed so that the bands are symmetrical in that way. So now this here, okay, so this is a crazy lace agate. And I'm just going to do a little close up here. Maybe that one's easier to see. No, this one. So that you can kind of see the coloring that I'm talking about here. So that's a pretty good side here. So coloring sides that you can see here with your agate. I have a dyed brightly colored agate in the house, but I'm not gonna I don't have that out here right now. Okay, branded chevron or dream amethyst. This is another crystal that is not necessarily fake, but it is commonly dyed a much more vibrant shade of purple, or specifically dyed to create bands. The price tag's usually a dead giveaway. Again, okay, this is your chevron branded dream amethyst here. Now, what you can see in here is you can see how this one has some of this like almost like a tannish brownish color. Your bands are not perfectly symmetrical. You've got some bright purple, and you get down here a little bit, you've got some of this lighter purple. Now this is a real dream amethyst. Okay, now if you were getting like a fake thing, I don't even have one, but you're going to get something that coloration wise is very symmetrical, such as this. This is just a regular, this is a part of a skeletal amethyst, but you're going to get a deep purple like this, and your bands are going to be perfectly symmetrical. So just look at that if you're looking for authenticity. Okay, malachite. This is another one that I really like this crystal as well. But it is often a fake also. It's often dyed agate to appear a vibrant green with perfectly shaped circles to mimic malachite. Real malachites will not have perfect shaped circles. Real malachite also has quite a high price tag, whereas the fakes will be quite affordable. To give you an idea, this little itty bitty guy here, this is like the size of my first knuckle on my thumb. Okay, this is just a little one. And I believe, if I remember correctly, I paid like $7 or $9, something like that, for this little thing. So again, price tag matters. Okay, turquoise. Turquoise is extremely rare in real form, and almost all turquoise on the market today is actually dyed howlite. It's ceramic or it is plastic. Natural turquoise is extremely expensive and not a uniform color like you typically see advertised on the market. So I have some turquoise. It is not real turquoise. What I have is dyed howlite. So this bracelet here, this is not turquoise. This is dyed howlite. Same with on the other side here, dyed howlite. Okay. So just bringing that up. You are most likely not going to find it a real turquoise, unfortunately. It just is likely to it's very, very hard to find that. Aura quartz. Okay, I love aura quartz, but again, this is another one that is often a fake. It comes in forms of iridescent colors to vibrant colors or metallics. These crystals are forms of quartz in a vacuum chamber and layered with precious metal gases to produce a variety of colors and rainbow effects. Fakes are absolutely everywhere. They're made when quartz is simply painted or coated in an iridescent plastic sheet. Fakes are easy to distinguish once you've seen real ones, and the rainbow effects will easily come off the fakes. Simply scratching the crystal with your fingernail can distinguish the fakes, but again, the price tag's going to reflect the crystal's authenticity. I am going to show you a fake one. Okay. Okay, fakes. Fake one. If you look close, and I don't know if you can see it in the video or not, but you can actually kind of see like where they're talking about with this layering and stuff. Okay, so that is fake. This is another fake one. This is a yellow fake one. So as you can see, they're super brightly vibrant, but these are fake. Another one. This is like a turquoise one. And purple. So they come in all kinds of colors. And they're super pretty. That, I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty, but they are fakes. Now this is a real aura quartz, and you can see the difference. Now this is clear. I don't know if you can see the rainbow colors in that at all. It might be kind of hard to see. I don't know. Oh, there, maybe you can see that a little bit. Anyway, I don't know if you can see it here or not, but you'll see kind of these as the light hits, you'll see a little bit of that rainbow color. You are not going to find aura quartz that comes and is like natural and it's in these big pieces and it's brightly colored like that. That's just the bright color thing is totally dead giveaway that it's a fake. You might find angel aura quartz that is like this white one here, like this one, that comes in a point like this, but you're going to be able to distinguish whether or not it's real or not just by seeing how the light hits the sides of it and the colors and the iridescence of it. So Super 7, that's another crystal that is oftentimes a fake. It is formed with up to 7 different minerals. So a lot like that first one that we had talked about, the Auralite 23. Auralite 23 has 4 to 8 different minerals, whereas Super 7 has exactly 7. So this crystal is often simply amethyst, heat treated or dyed quartz, and then it's marked as Super 7. The price tag, again, is going to help in determining whether or not that crystal is real or is a fake. Now this here, this is a real Super 7. Okay, now one thing that you can tell that helps identify it is if you look, not all of these beads here are this bright purple, right? Some of them have that like brown and stuff like that in them. So that's kind of a giveaway too. They're not going to be perfect. If they're real, they're not perfect. They're imperfectly beautiful. Next is jade. Jade's oftentimes actually dyed howlite, again, ceramic, or again, plastic, just like turquoise. Real jade will not be uniform in color, and the markings of the stone will be random with varying shades of typically green color. However, jade does come in various colors. Either way, the stone itself and markings will not be uniform and will vary in shade. So now to the fun part. So this, I had to teach myself all of this because I did not know how to identify a real crystal from a fake crystal, not all of them anyway. So this was something that I had to teach myself. And now as I do that, I'm sharing the information with you because I don't want anybody out there spending hundreds of dollars on crystals that are not real. So number one, and some of these might be easier to do if you're shopping for crystals, while others of them, you might not be able to do them unless you're like at home or you're going to have to ask permission. And the chances that they're going to say, oh yeah, you can start my crystal on fire. Yeah, they're probably not going to say that. So, first of all, temperature is one way that you can check for a crystal's authenticity. If it's real, it's going to feel colder than your hand, and it's probably colder than the ambient room temperature too. If it's warmer, it feels like room temperature, then it's probably not the real deal. The crystal will also remain cooler to the touch, even under the sunlight. So it'll return to a cooler temperature quite quickly. Heat. Heat's another way to test the authenticity of your crystals. So you can apply a heat test by using a lighter. If the stone melts down, obviously it's fake, right? Meaning that it's most likely plastic. And if the stone remains a solid, then it is likely an original. Obviously, most of these, you're going to want to run a couple different tests on a crystal to see, because yes, you could probably heat up dyed howlite that's passed as being turquoise, and you could heat that up and it's not going to melt, right? Because howlite is an actual crystal too. So you're going to want to run another test after that just to verify if what you really have is turquoise or if you were duped into buying dyed howlite instead. So the black light test. So some crystals will appear to glow under a black light. This is not true for all of them. This is true for some. Fakes do not do this. So this is a useful test for crystals such as fluorite. And I will show you what fluorite looks like right here. I cannot make it dark enough in here right now to shine a black light and show you, but this would be fluorite. It kind of glows like this, a neon color. So that is another way of testing your crystal's authenticity. Another one is rubbing or friction. So when you go into a dark room and you rub two crystals together, you can start to see them glow. This process is called, this is a long word, triboluminescence, and it is a flash of light that is produced from the energy of friction, impact, or breakage. This is used mainly to test quartz. I have actually never even tried this test before. I thought it was really cool, though, when I came across that was a way you could test it. So you would go into a dark room, and I actually think I'm going to try that later. I just want to see. I don't think we'd be able to see it in the light. Probably not. I have another quartz somewhere. I just have a big quartz, so I don't know. So let's see. So you just rub them together, apparently. Oh, and you know what? Huh. Okay, so it's not really that dark, but actually it, like, you can kind of see this weird, almost like a glow type of thing starting right on here where I was rubbing that at. Cool. Okay, next one, nail polish remover. I have used this method before. You rub a suspected dyed crystal with nail polish remover to see if the color comes off. So this is useful if you're using like if you've bought something that says it's turquoise or whatever. Also with jade, I have bought beads before that were marketed as jade, and the color started coming off, so they were not jade. They were just dyed. And then again, as I've mentioned several times with some of these other crystals that we were talking about, the price. Price is a huge indicator of whether or not you have a real crystal or a fake crystal. So fake crystals carry prices that might seem to be too good to be true. They're usually cheap and very affordable, and real crystals will carry a more expensive price tag. So definitely check the price. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So next we have the origin. The origin of the crystals is often also a dead giveaway as to whether or not you have a real or fake crystals. Keep in mind that you might be buying from suppliers or warehouses, wholesalers, whatever, that you know, are in your origin or your location where these crystals don't come from. They're getting their crystals from somewhere else. So check and see where are they getting them from, and kind of, you know, follow those breadcrumbs and figure out where the origin of that crystal is that you're purchasing or that you're looking at purchasing. So fake crystals will often come from origins where they are not produced naturally, and they will be affordable or cheap. Knowing the natural origin of the crystals and purchasing from there is likely to increase your chances of receiving a real crystal with a reasonable price. If the crystal is real and not within origin, you will pay a hefty fee. For instance, jade is a crystal that is typically found more or less over in like Asia, like China and stuff. So if you are getting a jade, then it's marketed that it's like, you know, produced and found here in the United States. You probably don't have actual jade. It's not that it's never existed here, but it's unlikely to be found here. Okay, so next we have the Mohs hardness scale and whether or not crystals can be water safe. So I threw this little tidbit in here because it can be kind of helpful and also learning how to identify what crystal you have. So crystals are rated on a scale of 1 to 10 for hardness, and this is known as the Mohs hardness scale. Crystals that are a 5 or higher are typically safe to get wet or to be put in water. So a good rule of thumb that I go by, and this is not 100% true, so but it is just something that you can keep in mind. And it's not going to steer you wrong. You're not going to damage your crystals if you follow this. You might just not get wet ones that could be wet. So the good rule of thumb that I follow is that any crystal that ends in ite, okay, so hematite, fluorite, malachite, orange calcite. Okay, those are all crystals that you should not put in water. They should not get wet. This is not always true, and even some crystals that do not end in ite also should not get wet. So one way to check a crystal's hardness is by running a scratch test. For this test, you would select 2 crystals and attempt to scratch the surface of one by using the other crystal. So say I take this here, and then I'm going to take this amethyst. Okay, and you would just literally rub them together and try to scratch, okay, to see, do you get anything? Now, when you would do that, Okay, by doing that, what you're doing is determining what their hardness scale is. If a crystal scratches, then you know it has a lower hardness score than what the other one is. So you would select another crystal and you would do the same, continuing this process until you can determine the hardness of the crystal. The easiest way to do this is to start with a crystal that scores higher on the Mohs scale, such as a diamond, which is the strongest at a score of 10, or clear quartz which scores a 7. Now, what I used was clear quartz and also amethyst. Both of amethyst is also a form of quartz, and so they did not scratch each other. Kind of did that on purpose because I already know that, and I don't want to scratch my pretties. I know I have, but just to kind of show you how you would do that. So charging crystals. There's a lot of ways that you can actually charge your crystals. Some of the most popular ways are charging by moonlight. You would place your crystals on a windowsill or outside under direct moonlight overnight, and then collect them in the morning. And I just want to say charging crystals is an important step if you're going to be working with them, because your crystals will absorb the energies from your environment, or if you're using them to work with other people, and you're like, if you're doing Reiki or something and you use crystals with that, your crystals are going to absorb that energy from that person. And so you do want to charge and cleanse them regularly. You're going to want to cleanse them first and then charge them. So actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let's start with cleansing first. So cleansing your crystals first. You can use water. Okay, you would allow the water to run over your crystals and use your fingers to just wipe away any negative energy that might be attached. So basically, you're just going to give your crystal a loving little bath. You want to be sure that the crystals are safe to be in water, which we just went over a little bit of that. You may also use a mild soap if you wish, or even just place the crystals in the shower with you. Salt water. You add a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt, rock salt, or table salt to a bowl of water. Add the crystals to the water and just let them sit for a minimum of 1 hour. You do not want them to sit in there any longer than 10 hours. Again, you're going to want to make sure that your crystals are safe to be submerged in water if you're using this method. So important to know what crystals you have if you're going to use a water method. Moon water. You can submerge your crystals in charged and fresh moon water for 1 to 10 hours, depending on the extent of the cleansing needed. And then lastly, we have saging. So saging is simple. You would burn some sage and you would run the crystals through the smoke, or use a sage bundle to wave the smoke over the crystals. So sage, I use this here for mine. Okay, sorry, I guess I wasn't quite as prepared as I thought I was. So sage, okay. This is white sage here. This is another sage there. You would just burn some of that, and then you could run your crystals through the smoke. That is what I do. I burn my sage in here, and then I just run my crystals through the smoke. Or if I have a lot of crystals to do, like if I was going to do this whole section back here, I'm not going to run every single one through the smoke. I'm just going to burn a bundle like this and then take my bundle around and sage my crystals that way. Okay, so that is the other way. So now let's talk about charging, since we've gone over to the cleansing, which would be your first step. So moonlight, again, charge them by moonlight. Place them on a windowsill or outside under the direct moonlight, and then just collect them in the morning. Solar or sun charging. You can set your crystals out in the sunlight for a few hours. You need to be sure that there's no shadow cast upon your crystals if you're using this method. They need to have direct sunlight. And also you need to use caution if you are charging clear quartz. If you're charging clear quartz in solar or the sun, because it can act like a prism, and it can actually cause hot spots, burns, or even start fires. So if you are charging your clear quartz in your house, make sure that you are doing it somewhere where if that light reflects and it does create a prism, it is not going to target anything else. Really be cautious with that and keep an eye on it. Your best bet is to just do it outside in a safe area. Charging station. So a charging station is pretty cool, actually. I do have one of those. I do not have it accessible at the moment. But basically what this is you would put a layer of pink Himalayan salt for your crystals to sit down on in like a shallow bowl or a tray of some sort. I use a plate. Place the tray in a quiet area somewhere away from the chaos of the daily energies and just allow the crystals to charge on the salt for at least 24 hours. So it does not need to be in sunlight. It does not need to be necessarily in moonlight. You can add that if you want to, if you feel called to add these charging plates to sunlight or moonlight or whatever in order to do that. You're absolutely welcome to do that, but it is not necessarily necessary. You do not have to. Cleansing and charging. So this is a combination. This is how we can do both at once, which obviously can save a little bit of time. So one way is by using the soil. So bury your crystals in natural soil. You do not want to use potting soil. Okay, potting soil has fertilizers in it and all that stuff. It's just not it's not the safest for your crystals. It's not. Crystals like things to be pure. So so bury them in natural soil for 24 hours or place the crystals on top of the soil and allow them to sit undisturbed for 24 hours. Again, avoid soil with added fertilizers such as potting soil. Another way to charge and cleanse your crystals at the same time would be to give them a sound bath. So using sound frequency to cleanse your crystals. For example, you can play tuning forks over them. You can place them in a singing bowl and then you can ring that singing bowl. You can sing or repeat mantras to your crystals. If you do this, be sure to clear your mind first, center and ground yourself prior to doing this, because whatever energy that you're holding within yourself is, you're going to be distributing that same energy into your crystals. So you definitely want to make sure that you are in a good frame of mind in just a positive, heart-centered, pure, that you're holding onto that pure energy if you're going to cleanse your crystals that way. So just be very aware of that. Soil, sun, and moon. This is a deep cleansing and charging. So you can bury your crystals in the soil in the area where the soil is going to receive both direct sunlight and moonlight. Bury the crystals in the morning before a full moon. Allow your crystals to remain buried and undisturbed for 48 hours, and then remove the crystals the morning after the full moon. Rinse and brush off any remaining soil off of the crystals. So this is like good to do. You're going to want to do this routinely, really. If you're regularly cleansing and charging your crystals in these other methods, like once a month or something, I would say at least a couple times a year, try doing these deep cleansing and charging rituals. Again, buried in the soil where it's going to receive both direct sunlight and moonlight. You're going to bury them before the morning on the morning of a full moon. So, or before a full moon, sorry. So bury the crystals in the morning before the full moon peak, or the moon. If you watched the Moonology live that I did last year, you would have learned from that how the moon stays in the same phase for roughly about 3 days. So full moon, again, same thing. You would do that on full moon day 1 because day 2 is going to be when the full moon is at its peak. So you would do that on the morning of the full moon day 1. And then allow the crystals to remain buried and undisturbed for 48 hours. So you would go through that whole cycle, and then into day 2 of that peak full moon, that would be one 24-hour period. And then you would go through day 2 of the peak full moon and into the morning of day 3, and you would remove your crystals on day 3. And then just rinse and brush them off. So, okay, so now we get into some tips. So tips about cleansing and charging your crystals is to figure out what element your crystal is associated with, and then use a cleansing and charging method that is compatible with that element. So for example, malachite, again, just is popping up a lot today in this little mini crash course. Malachite is associated with earth. So cleansing and charging by soil is probably the most powerful way for that particular crystal. However, any method is better than no method at all. I'm going to go over a little bit of that. So when we're talking about the elements, there's mainly 4 well-known ones. So depending on what culture you're looking at, and there are cultures that go with 5. There's cultures that go all the way up to like 8. We're going to do the 4 most well-known. This is the most across the board that everybody's heard of, and that is earth, air, fire, and water. So working with crystals that correspond to the 4 elements can greatly enhance your daily practice and energetic work when you're working with them, and also it can help to cleanse and clear your crystals. So earth represents the physical material world, which includes our bodies, our environment, our possessions, our day-to-day work, and our worldly vocations. Earth is the element of fertility, resonating with all things that grow and sustain themselves over time. Earth is connected to the root chakra and is the element most commonly used for grounding, protection, and manifestation. A lot of us have trouble staying grounded and being in our bodies, especially if you do a lot of spiritual practice. And earthy crystals can bring a grounding, calming energy that can help you feel safe in your body and in your environment. So crystals that are represented by the earth element are ones such as garnet, black tourmaline, petrified wood, tree agate, moss agate, unakite, red jasper, mookaite, hematite, jet, and onyx. So I do not have all of those. I do have unakite, which is right here. You've probably seen that before. That is unakite. We've already shown you the black tourmaline and garnet and all that. So hematite we went over. Oh, mookaite is right here. Woo! That's mookaite. Mookaite. There. Okay. So with that one, how to cleanse and work with your earth crystals. To cleanse and charge your earth crystals, bury them in the garden or in a pot of a house plant overnight. I don't recommend that actually, because most house plants are going to have fertilized soil. Unless you have a layer of like regular soil that you can put on the top, like put your potting soil in the bottom and then maybe do a layer of natural soil that you would dig from like your yard or something like that. That would work. Carry them in your pocket close to your root chakra or meditate with them during grounding exercises to feel more connected to your body and to work with them during manifestation exercises. So next, air. Air is closely connected to the mind. It represents our thought process, our intellectual endeavors, and the things we learn and think about. Air is connected to the heart and sometimes the throat chakra. So it's all about how we use our words to express ourselves and communicate with others. If you're someone who tends to overthink things and get distracted or spacey, you might have too much air. The way to balance it is by doing a daily grounding ritual or working with crystals that resonate with the air element or with the earth element. And the reason for that is because they're opposite of each other. Air is also the element of our imaginations and of the things that we want to know. So crystals that are represented by the air element are fluorite in all colors. I did not mention that before, but fluorite does come in different colors. So you can have there's like yellow and there's green and there's purple and stuff. I don't know if you can see. There you go. Maybe you can see that better. So that is a green and orange fluorite there. Blue calcite. celestite. Where's that? That's right here. Okay. Blue apatite, angelite, which I do have. I do not have that out here right now. And lepidolite. Yes, so lepidolite right here. Okay, so how to work with your air crystals. The best way to cleanse and charge your air crystals is to leave them outside on a windy day. Just make sure that they're big enough that they do not get blown away. Or you can pass them through incense smoke or sage. Air crystals are great for when you need to sustain your focus on a task for long periods of time, and they make wonderful companions for students and office workers. Keep them in your workplace or on your desk and wear them as jewelry during an important meeting or study session. Next is fire, your fire crystals. So fire represents our creativity, our passions, and the way we take action in the world. Fire is what drives us towards the things we love, and it gives us motivation to reach our goals. A little known fact about fire is that it is the most spiritual of all the elements because it represents the process of spiritual transformation. Think of the phoenix arising from the ashes, as well as the burning desire to merge with the divine. On a more day-to-day level, fire is all about warmth, passion, confidence, and courage, and how we share these things with others. So then we have the crystals that represent that would be fire opal, fire agate, carnelian, which mine just so happens to be in the shape of a flame. How fitting. Citrine, sunstone, amber, ruby, sulfur, and candle quartz. I do not have any of those. I have sunstone, which is actually in the house right now. Citrine is in the house right now. My fire agate is in the house right now. So how to cleanse and work with your fire crystals. Placing your fire crystals near a lit candle or holding them very carefully above the flickering flame will cleanse and charge them with the energies of their own element. You can grid them around your bedroom during date night or keep them in your creative space to stay motivated and passionate about your latest project. I love that. Put it in your bedroom to stay motivated about your bedroom project. Nice. A cool trick with any fire crystal is to wear a piece of it during the day as a ring or a pendant and imagine yourself encircled by a protective flame that burns up any unwanted energies in your aura. So pretty cool. And I also want to point out too that not only with fire, but you can also do that visualization with any of the elements that you resonate with. It doesn't necessarily have to be fire. So for air, you could visualize like a wind gust or something like that that is encircling you. Water doing the same thing. Earth, maybe leaves or an earthy element of some sort, flowers and whatnot, things like that. So you can do that visualization with anything. It's not just fire. This was just an example. Water. Water is all about emotion, intuition, and how we flow with life. Water rules our innermost selves, as well as the ways in which we receive others and internally process the world around us. Water is my element. This is the element that I connect to with the most. Water is just my top one, and I would say earth is probably my next one that resonates the most, but water is very much my first. Learning to connect to and work with your emotions is the key to mastering this element, but it's tricky because water also represents the places where we're most vulnerable and sensitive. In its highest expression, water is all about empathy and our emotional connection to others. crystals that represent that: aquamarine, rose quartz, pink opal, moonstone, pearl, coral, abalone, lumarian, aquatine, calcite. Abalone is not a crystal, it is a shell, and it is this shell right here. Just pointing that out so you don't go looking for an abalone crystal, because you're not going to find one. Rose quartz we went over. Moonstone I have over there. I'm not going to go get that right now. Pearl, that's in the house. Pink opal, I do have that. I do not have that out here, though. Aquamarine is way over there. All right, anyway. So how to cleanse and work with your water crystals. The obvious way to cleanse your water crystals is with water, but again, many of them are unsafe to keep in water for long periods of time. So you need to be aware of that. If you have crystals that represent the water element and oddly enough cannot be in water themselves, you can place your crystals near a natural source of running water, like a lake or a stream, and that will cleanse and recharge your water crystals. If you don't have access to a natural body of water, sprinkling them with a few drops of water every now and again is enough to clear them, or visualize them being submerged in the refreshing waters of the ocean or another body of water. Even crystals that really can't get wet, unless you have something like this is a desert rose. This, you don't even want to get a drop of water on this thing. It's just way too vulnerable when it comes to water. But for crystals that, here, hematite, malachite, whatever, fluorite, even these ones that say like, yeah, you should not be getting these wet or anything. I'm just going to block that sun so you can see them a little bit better. But these ones here where, yeah, you're not supposed to really get them, submerge them in water. They're going to be okay if you just spritz a couple drops on them. They're going to be okay with that. Just be aware of what you have. Learn your crystals, learn what you have so that you can learn how to properly take care of them and work with them. So last but not least, this is the last part of this, and this is crystals and your chakras. So crystals can be used when working with the chakras. Chakras are energy centers within our body. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. These energy vortexes transport energy from the universe around you into your aura and your physical body. Sometimes the chakras or energy centers can become unbalanced. They can become overactive or underactive, and this can cause emotional and physical health problems as well as behavioral changes. Chakras can be used as crystals can be used as a powerful tool to help in balancing the chakras. So then I have this awesome cool little printout thing here that goes over all of that. I'm not going to read all of this to you, but your root chakra, I'm going to go over some of what it's for and then some of the main crystals that can be used to treat that. So the root chakra, the purpose is grounding and connecting. Location, base of spine. The color is red. The element is earth. Overactive can lead to overeating, craving of unhealthy foods, paranoia, nervousness, aggression, dominant behavior, addiction to adrenaline, hoarding, and material fixation. Underactive, neglecting of self, underweight, poor discipline, poor boundaries, depression, lethargy, chronic disorganization, fear of change, and feelings of not belonging. Okay, so if you're suffering from any of those, some of the crystals you can use to help you would be black agate, black tourmaline, garnet, hematite, jet, obsidian, petrified wood, red jasper, red tiger's eye, ruby, and smoky quartz. I am not going to go through and read to you what each of those crystals are good for because this is a long enough a video as it is. So if you want to know more about that stuff in detail, just send me a message, comment below, whatever, and I will answer that for you. So next is your sacral chakra. Sacral chakra, I'm going to actually Okay, help you identify where they are at. So you have, again, that sunshine is just like, okay, so root chakra, this one down here, it's one we just did. Sacral, right here. This is represented by the color orange. It is for abundance and sexuality. Overactive, an excessive sex drive, compulsive behaviors, tension, frustration, overly emotional, hypersensitive, and emotional dependency. Underactive, unemotional, guarded, self-deprivation, sexual repression, poor social skills, denial of pleasure, and lack of desire or passion. Having issues in your sex life, check out your sacral chakra. Might be a little unbalanced. So crystals that can help with that. Aragonite, which we have, really kind of a cool looking crystal here. It's just neat looking. Okay. Carnelian, right here. Copper, moonstone, orange calcite, which I think I showed you maybe orange calcite. Okay. Pearl, sunstone. Okay. Next, solar plexus. I'm going to block that sunshine again. Solar plexus is right here. It's this yellow one. That is the purpose of the solar plexus is worthiness and confidence. Its color is yellow. Its element is fire. Did I give you the element for sacral? No, sacral element is water. Sorry. Okay, so solar plexus is fire. Overactive, overly aggressive, needing to be right, bossy, power hungry, competitive, attraction to sedatives, conceited, self-centered, hyperactive, narrow-minded. Underactive, low self-esteem, lack of self-trust, weak will, poor digestion, victim mentality, unreliable, unable to make responsibility, and attraction to stimulants. So you can see with your solar plexus, a lot of your addiction issues are going to arise from an unbalanced solar plexus. So crystals to use to kind of help combat some of that stuff. Amber, citrine, gold, golden topaz, pyrite, which I don't have in here right now. Tiger's eye, yellow calcite or honey calcite, yellow fluorite, and yellow jasper. Next, we have your heart chakra. Heart is right here in the middle of your chest, and it is that green right there. So that is the heart chakra, is your ability to love. It is located in the heart region. Color is green, and the element is air. So overactive, overly empathetic, overly concerned, jealous, poor boundaries, codependency, clinging, tendency to stay in abusive relationships, overly sacrificing, underactive, shy, fear of getting hurt, feelings of loneliness, feelings of being unloved, suspiciousness, possessiveness, antisocial, judgmental, and fear of relationships. Got relationship issues? Check out the heart. Crystals that can help with your heart chakra: amazonite, aventurine, bloodstone, emerald, malachite, the green one. Peridot. I don't think I have many of those other ones, do I? No. Unakite. Unakite is that one there. Unakite. Rose quartz, which we had talked about. rose quartz here. Probably can't even really see that. Rose quartz. Okay. Okay, and then next we have the throat chakra. So, throat chakra, all about communicating our truth right here. Center of the throat or neck, the color is blue. The element is the ether or sound. Overactive, excessive talking, stuttering, inability to listen, gossiping, loud or dominating voice, tendency to interrupt. Underactive, suppressed feelings, fear of expression, fear of offending others, shyness, a weak voice, and poor rhythm. So the throat chakra is the chakra that I have to work on the most. It is the one that tends to be the most overactive or underactive for me at certain times. So that is my go-to chakra that is typically ends up being the one that's out of balance when I see that or kind of acknowledge that my behavior, my words are a little off. Aquamarine, blue calcite, blue fluorite, blue lace agate, blue quartz, celestite, which was this one here, blue kyanite, which I have in the bed in my room, and sapphire are all crystals that can help with that, balancing that throat chakra. So next we have our third eye chakra. That is going to be this one up here. As you can see, we're going in order. Okay, so that's this one right here, so imagination and intuition is the purpose of this chakra. The location is the middle of the forehead and between the eyes. Color is indigo, and the element for this is light. So overactive, obsessed with psychic vision, paranoid, hallucinations, tendency to space out, difficulty concentrating, and nightmares. Underactive, inability to plan or set goals, narrow-mindedness, denial, poor vision, poor memory, difficulty seeing future, and a lack of imagination. Crystals that can help with the third eye. Now, most of these on here are ones you've not ever heard of before. I can guarantee it. A lot of these are ones I never even heard of before. So I'm only going to go over the ones that you probably have heard of. Lapis lazuli is one you've probably heard of. Sapphire, sodalite, and tanzanite. The rest of those I'm skipping over because they are ones that I can pretty much guarantee you've never heard of, unless you are a, archaeologist or something, or like a crystallologist. Then you might have heard of them. And if that's the case, there really probably isn't, you're probably not watching this right now. The crown chakra. Last one, crown chakra. Right up here. Okay. So the crown chakra, the purpose is to connect us to our spirituality. Location is the top and center of the head. The color is violet or white, and the element is thought. Overactive, overly intelligent. Spiritual addiction, overly concerned with humanity. Confused, disassociation from body. Underactive, sense of separation, sense of isolation, trouble trusting the universe, lack of belief in a higher power, learning difficulties, and excess in the lower chakra. Crystals that can help you balance out your crown chakra. Amethyst, clear quartz, howlite. We've talked a lot about those. Amethyst. This is probably my favorite amethyst, only because it has a cool infinity sign and a little mini heart. So amethyst. Clear quartz. There you go. Howlite, which I do not have in here right now. Lepidolite, which we already went over there. Selenite, which we went over those. Selenite. And white calcite, which I do not have in here either. So those would be your crystals that would help you the most with your crown chakra. And other than that, I think we have nailed out the basics here of crystallology. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can comment below this video. You can find me on Facebook at Soulscapes Wellness. And you can go ahead and send me a private message there with any questions that you have about your crystals. Send me an email, soulscapeswellness@gmail.com. And I can try to answer those as best as I can. I will give you one of these. So here you go. If you want to pause and write this down so that you, I don't know if you can see that website here, you can contact me that way. And then also here's probably backwards for you, I don't know. Facebook up here, and then the email here. So feel free to go ahead and get in touch if you have any questions about crystals or really anything spiritual at all that you want to discuss. I would be happy to connect with you. See you later.